Well, I just hit start. Oh yeah, we are recording because it's it says stop. So this is the first time doing this shit.
Oh, this is weird. I feel like I should be
on the other side
place. Yeah,
because it's going to be where you're going to be flip flop from our normal orientation.
Yeah,
it's okay.
No, it'll be all right. It'll be okay.
And we can.
Actually, normally, so on my end, when we record, you're actually like a little rectangle in the top.
Oh, okay.
So I'm actually used to you being like this little rectangle in the top. So, which actually kind of works good for as far as like looking at the screen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it looks more like we're making eye contact and everything.
No.
It's really not that different from having your camera there,
100%. Well, cool. I'll give us a couple more minutes here. Just. All right, so here we are.
All right, so we're together.
Yeah,
we're together. We just recorded a epic podcast with Mike
Phillips, Gabba Hut podcast.
Yeah, and with Jeff Williams. From you say the name because I screw it up all the time.
Oh, SuperNova Uber Alles.
Yep, does a great comic on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
But we all come from the Charlotte music scene, and we're all cartoonists. So we were on this podcast, and when that goes live, we'll definitely tell everybody about it. I think maybe by the time this goes live, it'll be available.
Yeah,
but we'll definitely know. But yeah, we talked about. Music. We talked about comics,
and just as we do in many of our episodes, the parallels and the intersection of those two things. If you're a self-published comic book creator and a DIY band,
yeah,
a lot of, it's like the topic doesn't change, just the window dressing, whether it's comics or music.
Yep.
That's what changes for what.
Yeah,
what we were going over.
Yeah, it was. What I got out of it was just great hearing. From another musician like Mike, but another musician and cartoonist like Jeff, and how much what we do does intersect with everything. It's all just about being a creative person, but then having to wear all those hats. We talk about that in the podcast, and we talk about that on this show. Is all the hats we wear as independent artists.
Yep. We've kind of walked through the process of creating your own comic when you're an army of one, from writing and conceptualizing the story to getting it down on some kind of documentation, if it's paper, or if you're working digitally, strictly, to printing or publishing, digitally or physically.
Yeah.
And having to do the self-editing and all the steps. We've gone over that, I think, in several different episodes.
Yeah.
Up to this point.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get any easier.
No. It doesn't. But it's always and I brought this up in the podcast too, and we talked about it. And I think before we were sure we were gonna do this or whatever, I was thinking about this. So I'd seen a video with Steve Rude of Nexus fame, and I think by all accounts a master cartoonist and artist.
Yeah.
But him talking about you're always a student when you're an artist. You're always a student, and I think about that, and I don't know why, but since I heard it, I've just been thinking about it more and more. About that's my journey as a creator and a writer and an artist and someone who puts out stuff for other people to read and look at. I'm a student and all of those ways, everything.
Right.
I don't, and I want to be. I want to be a student. I almost don't I want to have stuff to keep learning.
Yeah, 100%. To improve your craft is key, and you should always be looking for ways to do that. But being a student doesn't just mean since we've been talking about it, it doesn't just mean, becoming a better writer and artist. Because I got to thinking, the reason why I am editing video and stuff is because of the comics.
Yeah.
So we're doing the show about the comics. We're trying to engage people in as many ways as possible, focusing back on the comics and the creation thereof. So I get to learn how to do Adobe Premiere Pro. Mm-hmm. I get to learn how to do. I've got I don't know how long the video is about, search engine optimization. It's a long video. It's like a class.
Yeah.
But that's if you're gonna make comics and you're gonna put them out in the world, you need to know how to do that, and that's part of it.
Right.
Being a perpetual student isn't just getting better at drawing, fingers and fists and and shadow and lighting effects. It's also maximizing your craft in peripheral ways, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I've done 2 solo videos so far,
mm-hmm.
and it's funny because when we started this, I wasn't involved in the editing or anything whatsoever. We did these videos and we talked about it and that was it. And then I would do a thumbnail and you were all of that editing end of it.
Yeah.
And now with doing these solo videos, I'm doing every bit of that and having to learn. And right now I'm doing it all in just iMovie
mm-hmm.
on my iPad, which is super simple. But the more I do it now, I'm like, well, what if I get there's a slightly more powerful version of iMovie. I forget what it's called, but it's another Apple product.
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, I can do that. And then I can do this and this and this. And so the more I do it, the more interested in editing and the video that I get,
mm-hmm.
And that's one thing though, we talk about wearing all these different hats.
Yeah.
It really is me trying to find the enjoyment in doing something that's not necessarily what my ultimate goal is.
Right.
My ultimate goal is to be a cartoonist,
mm-hmm.
And to do that for a living. But maybe we're learning that, okay, well, we have to do these other things to get our work out in front of people and to talk about this and stuff like mm-hmm. that. Well, I might as well enjoy that too, so I enjoy talking to you, and then I'm trying to get to the point where I enjoy editing my own solo stuff,
Yep.
And it's funny because we talked about it at first. It gets awkward talking to each other over Zoom and stuff like that. Trying to make that look natural. Man, it's even harder when you're just staring at your phone.
Yeah.
And trying to act like I'm having a conversation with someone to just myself.
Right.
So.
Maintaining the engagement's weird. And on that note, I'll piggyback. This is our first time in the same room together to do the show, and it's an adjustment for me.
Yeah.
You're sitting right next to you.
This is weird.
It's a little bit.
We haven't talked about the weather.
I don't think you've said welcome to Comics in the Making yet.
I haven't.
We're just blowing it.
This is the longest intro ever.
I think maybe
the longest cold open ever.
I think it's probably better you just go home.
Okay.
And then I'll send you the Zoom link.
All right, I'll see you later.
And then we'll pick it up. No, this is fun. It
is getting chilly out there though.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't want to jinx it because we've had bad experiences when we don't talk about the weather. So let's get this.
You're right.
Let's get to this.
You're right.
It was pretty warm the last few days.
Very warm.
It was 70 degrees, and I hated it.
Mm-hmm. And then we got rain.
Yeah.
So at first,
I don't mind the rain.
We had days of very cold temperatures.
Yeah.
Our returning viewers will know that from our last videos.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, overnight, now step out the house and it's 60 something.
Yeah.
And overcast, and a little bit of rain. And that just pulls the moisture out of the concrete. I've had a 16th inch, basically, layer of water in my garage floor, which is just now starting to dry up. At the day job, the walls were sweating.
Yeah.
There was water cascading down the cold storage area.
Yeah. the downstairs. So my house, we have a cat window, for the cats
Yeah.
to go in and out of or whatever, and so the downstairs is all. I mean, in most houses downstairs is always colder anyway, but it's always cooler because we've got this cat window, and so it'll get open and stuff like that. But because of those weather changes and everything, dude, like the last two, it's like I walked down there and it's like I could just feel the moisture downstairs. It was like all just seeping in and just
Yep.
It was so weird. It was so weird.
Yeah, exactly. So it's finally cleared off, and the temperatures are coming back down. So hopefully everything will level off for us here in the Carolina Piedmont, and we can go into the rest of the year with some semblance of normalcy.
Yeah.
I hear people say normalcy, is it normality? I've heard both.
I mean, they're both words.
I want to say normalcy. Let us know in the comments which one we should go.
I think
which one we
normalcy.
should go with.
I think normalcy.
Which word would be the most normalist? Did I mention we're writers?
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So we got the weather out of the way.
Weather's way out of the way
Yeah.
now.
So I think we talked about this already in an episode, but you've got the big sent off.
It's at the printer.
Are you getting a proof?
Yeah, I'm getting physical proofs, and I have confirmation they've requested access to the files.
Okay.
So that happened midweek last week. So I should be looking for my proofs before too long.
I've never done it that way. I know I've seen on Comics Wellspring where you just kind of like upload the files or whatever to
a link to a shared drive.
A link to a shared drive.
Yep.
Okay. And then and then you like send them the password or something? Like, how does that work?
I use Google Drive, so they hit that link, they hit the file, it sends me a notification that someone is requesting access to that file.
Okay.
So I say yes or no at that time, and off to the races.
So it's like when I ask for access to YouTube, but you're already asleep.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, for me, if it's getting 9 o'clock or much past 9 at night, there's a real good chance I'm in bed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Oh, and I used to live that life.
Mm-hmm.
I used to work at a restaurant where we had to get there. We had to get there minimum at 6 in the morning to start prepping. We sold, for the most part, fresh food, and so it was a lot of work. We opened at 11, so I mean it was 6 a.m. to 11 to get open, and I'd go home at like 3 or 4. So half my day the store wasn't even open.
Yeah.
But there were days like if I had a big truck come in, or I had to count inventory, or just so many different things. I had big catering orders. I'd get those. I'd have to be there at. I'd get there at 4 in the morning sometimes.
Yeah, that hurts.
And I actually came to the realization that it took a while, because in my head I was like, no, this is great. I'm getting all the work out of the way in a day, and I get home by like 4 o'clock. I was in bed by 7:30, 8 o'clock every night. I was so exhausted by the time I got home. And now I work mostly evenings. I think we talked about this on episode 2, but I work mostly evenings, and I don't have to set an alarm in the morning. I wake up when I wake up. I still end up having plenty of time to work on my comic before I go to work, and then I work, and then usually when I get home I'm still pretty awake and I do more work.
Yeah, so I used to do overnights or second shifts, and I would get home. Second shift was my favorite because I would leave the house at 2:30, and I would leave work at 11 p.m. and I'm here before 11:30 every night. And so once again, you go for a couple hours, and it's 2 o'clock, and I kind of am a short sleeper anyways, so I was waking up between 7 and 8. And hate to say it, but coming home and knowing no one else is up and no one's gonna mess with me, and I can just go straight to doing what I want to do. I really liked that that dynamic.
Oh yeah.
You know, that was awesome.
Well, it's the same for me in the evenings, and then a lot of times in the morning, my wife's already gone to work and my daughter's at school, so I've got I've got that first part of my day too, and not that I don't like being around them because I do, but to get shit done, when they're not here, I get more done when they're not there. So that worked out good too. Friday, is when I filmed my solo video for this last one for the McReptoid Agenda, and so man, this I go into it a little bit in that video, but this past week was like a 10-page story, and it kicked my ass. I ended up having to do like 4.5 pages on Thursday to get it done.
Oh,
that's
wow.
like my self-imposed deadline.
Yep.
And then I ended up waking up way earlier than I wanted to on Friday. And I got home and I was so tired, and I was like, but I might as well just get some work done. And I ended up finishing the editing and shooting that solo video in like, it was probably like hour and a half, 2 hours.
Nice.
Really didn't take me long.
No.
But I got that done, and then I wrote the story for next week, too.
Sick.
So, and it, it's funny. I think I'll probably talk about this in the next solo video. But might as well talk about it here, too. It's funny how much this, like doing this project where I'm doing a story every week, it's how they're informing the next week, almost. So when 2 stories ago, when I did like an 8-page story, I was all excited that I did an 8-page story.
Yeah.
But it was, not an easy week, but I got it done. And then so I wrote a 10-page story for the next one. And it kicked my ass. Like I just said. Well, this next story that I'm doing is like a 7-page story. And I know it's not going to be as intensive of a drawing job,
Yeah.
And so I just doing it week in and week out so far, it's just been it's becoming a habit.
Yeah, you're building a rhythm.
It's building this rhythm.
Yep.
And I'll be honest, when I got to the end of Thursday, I was so beat, I was tired, and I was like, you know what? This might be all I had in me.
Mm-hmm.
I might just have to go, you know what, guys? I'm going to keep going, but this might stop faster than I thought. By the time I wrote the next story on Friday, I was like, I'm going to get this motherfucker done by Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because if I get it done by Wednesday, that's 45 pages in this month.
And it builds and it builds and it builds. When you've gone so far and you've slugged so far, trudged your ass off, and you feel like you're about to drop, and you turn around and you see how far you've come.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to go, I can just take a few more steps.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, scheduling my days the way I have, we talk about in Wednesday's video that's gonna drop. I had the time this past Friday to take the time.
Yeah.
I came home, rough day at the grind, yada yada yada, and got home. Was like, you know what? I don't feel I have it in me to concentrate in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But the good news is, for my goals that I had set for that week, I could not do it.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, was a good day, production-wise, both for the comics and the show, and which freed up the time for us to do, Gabba Gabba Hub podcast and do a live video here together.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? Like what you just said, and again, this is all personal preference for what works.
Mm-hmm.
But when I started doing these weekly stories, and it's not like a daily deadline like I would have done before, where it would be, here's a page every day or a couple pages every day or something like that. And every day I was working on, I got to get this done so I can post it tomorrow.
Right.
Even though this is more work. But knowing my goal is to post it Friday morning, and that's my goal.
Yeah.
I can have days where I go, okay, well, I'm going to take today off, or I'm going to go easier today.
Yeah.
That means I'm going to get my ass kicked tomorrow, which is what happened with Thursday. Where I did 4 pages on Thursday.
Right.
But in my head, it just makes it a little bit easier being able to do that.
Yeah, because when you put a constraint on yourself, like, a page a day, which sounds like a great goal. It sounds like a really good goal for production, for drawing comics. But the goal is that page.
Yeah.
So now you finish the page and mentally you run the risk of checking out when you could have done a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think having a wider scope goal rather than such a singular goal. It's good to say, hey, here's the end result, here are the steps I need to take to get there. But, I feel like if I constrain myself that way to doing a page a day, I'm only going to think about doing a page a day.
Well, yeah, and getting into that week where I was doing it, I thought, like, coming in on Sunday, I said, okay, well, I've got 10 pages. If I start Sunday and I do 2 pages Sunday, I do 2 pages Monday, I do 2 pages, so on and so forth, then I'll get to 10 by Thursday and I'll be fine. But that's not really the way I've been working. The way I've been working, and it has been working, is, I write the whole story, it's all done.
Yeah.
Then I set up the files in Clip. I do all the layouts, I do all the lettering from page 1 to page whatever. Then I go back, I do all the penciling from page 1 to whatever, and then I go through, and it's page by page finished artwork. I'll do the inking and the coloring and stuff because it's so fast. I'll do that all in one go. And so, like, going into this story, because I felt like I was having a time crunch, I was like, well, maybe I just do, page 1 and 2 on Sunday, and it's 100% done, and that way I know it's done, and just keep going like that. But I stopped myself and I said, no, this way's working. What you're doing's been working. Just keep doing it that way. And if you know what, if you miss a deadline, you fucking miss a deadline. There's no, it's my deadline.
Right.
Right.
So. And so long as you are disciplined in that, allowing for those times where you're not, where you're not going to make it, and you realize, hey, I'm the only one who's putting these constraints on myself. As long as you manage that with discipline, you can give yourself that leeway.
Yeah.
Because it'll pay off more later if you allow some flexibility in your own schedule.
Oh yeah.
So,
but you need to, and we talked about you got to be kind to yourself too.
Yeah.
You really do, and if you need that time away, you need to have that time away.
Right.
And not beat yourself up.
Yep.
Yep. So
there's always the next day to do what you got to do, and then if you feel like you need to get caught up, you can always do that. But if it's if you try to get a book done so you can get it to print, so you have it available for an event or a con or something, well, that might be something that's an external pressure. So play into that's fine.
Yeah.
But if it's yourself, manage it with discipline, and as you're demonstrating, it's paying off.
Yeah. No. So far, it's been great. It's been really good.
And having such a workload that you've put on yourself, however long you intend to keep producing at that rate, if you shift to a less demanding tempo, it's gonna come at you so easy.
Oh, I know. No, and that's we talked about this back in November, I think, where I mentioned October to November is my busiest time of the year.
Right.
And I did that page a day through October. And it was really to see, okay, if I can do this during my busiest time of the year, what can I do when I don't have these other restraints on me?
Yeah.
And so far that part's paying off to where I was like, oh no, I can. So I can do 40 pages in a month.
Yep.
And really not feel that bad. I can't,
right.
I can't, like I said, this past Thursday, I was kind of like, oh, fuck it, I might be done. But man, now I'm like, and I'll say this, it helps getting feedback from readers.
Right.
And that's what's been happening. I've been posting on Reddit, and I've just been getting absolutely just fantastic feedback from people, you know.
That's awesome.
And that's really, I mean, it's 100% kept me going. Having people going, I love this, it reminds me of this, or I love what you're doing, this is great. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm never going to get tired of someone telling me that that I'm great.
Oh yeah.
And you know, so like right now when there's not a lot of money in it, that's my payment is getting people and getting more people reading my stuff.
Exactly. So remember that out there. If you're watching us and you haven't subscribed, you've gotten this far in the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. You know, so that tiny little ways that you can support other creators and content that you like.
Right. Oh yeah. You hitting that like button is it's like just a little bit of payment for us. There's no actual monetary value. It is just the payment of knowing that someone enjoyed what they saw. You know, there's the algorithm bullshit that, of course, the likes are going to help and stuff like that. But aside from the algorithm stuff, aside from that, hey, that we want to get out in front of more people. No, it just helps us know that you enjoyed the video.
Yeah. Or, you know, things that we're talking about. People have experience with that kind of stuff, and letting us know what that is. And maybe you have a different perspective we haven't thought about. You know, maybe you're on a level a little higher than us, and you've got some insight you can share, not just with us, but with everyone else. Because when you leave feedback to creators, you're not just giving feedback to them; you're giving feedback to everybody in that thread.
Yeah.
And you know, there's value to that.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. We want to be the community for artists. I'm not even going to just say cartoonists, because I just creators who are working a day job, or maybe you're a parent and that's your main job, and are just trying to find the time to create in between everything else that we have to do. And let's face it, the vast majority of artists and creators are people like us who are working a day job and are parents and going nonstop, and then having to find an hour or two a day to put their work out there. And so we want to be that community for you, to where you can come here and bitch and stuff like that. and we would love to hear your advice on what you guys do and how do you get done. You know, I mean, we have people out there that watch us, and you know, I should have told Jeff when he was here, but you know, Jeff Williams, him doing his daily comics and stuff like that was a big inspiration for me to do what I'm doing and do this series.
And he got back into comics kind of from watching us
it's
doing this,
and that's what we want. We want this big circle of people. we want to inspire people, and we want you to inspire us. And it just snowballs, and the community just gets stronger that way.
You know, that's, you know, like you said, we're here because we're two independent creators that are self-publishing, and we're spending as much time as possible on our art as we are with what we have, the grind, we call it. So that is, I guess, the mission statement of this show. If we haven't made that clear before, we're here to kind of give voice to the people who are just, you know, trudging along and trying to stay one step ahead of the grind.
Well, I think it's good to repeat it too. You know, we might have mentioned it in an earlier episode or whatever. It was a while ago. So, you know, every once in a while we'll just remind you, this is why we do this. This is what we're doing. And I hope with my solo videos and stuff like that, I'm hoping Levi's going to do some solo videos and stuff. We kind of want to push this idea of us being this community and showing the comics that we're making.
Right.
Because the name of the show is Comics in the Making. So we want to show you the comics that we're making. So that's part of the reason I've been doing these solo videos and stuff like that. I want to show you the comics that I'm making. Levi wants to show you the comics that he's making. and I mean, I've got some other ideas for some other videos and stuff like that we might be able to do. And so yeah, no, I don't know. I'm real excited.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff going on. A lot of things that are, you know, I feel like we're doing right, and I'm having a hell of a lot of fun doing it. So,
yeah.
So you know, you haven't heard the last of us.
No, that might be famous last words. How'd you do that?
Oh, really? But yeah, I mean, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, man. Well, I never said it at the beginning, but you've been watching Comics in the Making.
Yeah.
My name is Ryan Holgerson. I'm the creator of Slackmatic. This is Levi Erickson. He's the creator of The Big. Normally we do that at the beginning. But we said, I mean, we're just breaking all the rules today anyway. Yeah, normally I'm in South Carolina and you're here. Yeah. And we're, you know, but...
yeah, we're all completely thrown off.
Now we're together. And, but yeah. So... why don't you get us out of here?
Having said that, do the damn thing.
Yeah.